Oh, no problem. The main reason I know it's a small room, the main reason I'm doing this is for we do have people attending virtually. So due to that, you have to use a microphone or else all they see is a screen and they don't hear anybody. So we do have the professional and career development sessions. So as I said, those run through the semester. I think this is the last one as far as professional and career development for this semester, and then we'll be providing more next semester. We also have CERTL, which is if you're looking to be teaching, you're looking to be a future faculty, that's a good training for you. If you attend those sessions, you can also receive a micro-credentialing badge. And the last piece is our mentoring series. So we're about to offer the second one of three on November 29th. And so, of course, you can attend the sessions that we host, these hour-long sessions that we host in person. We also provide a virtual option. So you can attend via Zoom. You don't get the pleasure of seeing, my face or Madamita's face, right up close and personal, but you do receive the information necessary. And we do that so to make sure that in case you're very mobile and unable to attend physically, then you can do that. So does anyone have any questions about any of those sessions that run through fall and spring? So let's talk about leadership. So the main thing that we're wanting to come out of this is developing your own leadership philosophy. So that's Leadership 101. So some of the things, as this suddenly is not working for some reason. It was working. Okay. Some of the things, okay, that's not working either. Nothing's working. Okay, that should be working. Probably, yeah. Okay. Thankfully, I have done this presentation a few times, so we're just going to jump in. So a couple of things that we'll be discussing is tenets of leadership, the 4 tenets of leadership. Now, you may ask, oh, where can I find the 4 tenets of leadership? Well, you can find them as part of my presentation because this information, most of it, is partially research, partially Leadership 101, using air quotes, Leadership 101 concepts as far as being a leader, but it also is based on what I know and my professional experience. So it's just the basics of what leadership should be. And then, of course, research and then my personal experience. So who considers themselves in here? Would you consider yourself a leader? Raise your hand if you consider yourself a leader. Okay, can I have just maybe 1 or 2 examples as to why you consider yourself a leader from anybody? Go ahead.
A very unique role. Well, me personally, I'm a drill instructor for the Air Force right now, and I just became a drill instructor. So every single day that I'm off today, but every single day that I go in, I have about 45 new recruits looking at me every single day. Everything is on spotlight. So everything I do, every action I do, reflects on them and their character and their development and transition. So it's kind of an adjustment, and that's why I'm interested in hearing what your experience is, because mine is trying to figure out my real role as a leader and as a coach to these recruits every single day.
Okay, sure. And who else? Yes.
Yeah, I guess there is a difference between leader and the boss.
Yes, there is.
The boss likes like a machine, orders and asks you some stuff, but leader cares about the personal things, about the problems, and how it can work with you in a better way. So I guess if you have some characteristics, you can be a leader rather than be a regular boss.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So what is leadership and what makes a leader? Anybody else? Why would you consider yourself a leader? Yeah.
I think it depends on the situation you're in, you know, what kind of leader you're kind of required to be by the situation that you're in. But in my personal case, I'm kind of the senior grad student in my lab. And so, you know, it's kind of my job to be a person that people come to for questions, somebody needs help with an instrument, somebody needs to talk about their project or their problems and things like that. I also do a lot of outreach, and that's kind of, you know, trying to tailor what you're saying and you're doing to your audience to get the best possible understanding and response from them, I think is not necessarily maybe something that people think of as being leader in the case of like outreach, but I think that it's a useful skill that is applied.
Absolutely. I also do a session on leadership and communication that's on the graduate school YouTube channel. But that's one of the main pieces of that concept. So out of these, who can tell me I'll do a gimme for you. 3 out of the 5 are what a leader is. What is leadership is what a leader is or should be. 3 out of the 5. Can anyone tell me what the 3 are? Yes. Directing people, involving people, guiding people. We're close. We're close. Yes. Correct. Yes, which kind of goes off what you were saying, which is you're involving people in decision-making processes and just in the day-to-day functions, keeping people in the loop. You are guiding people because you want to offer that development to them. And you are also empowering your team. That is going to be to make sure you have the most productive team is with the encouragement and the empowerment that they, in fact, can do the job that they were, that they've been assigned. So yes, involving, guiding, and empowering. Now, why not directing and commanding? Let's start with directing. Give me one reason why directing is not a top or good or something that should not be considered as part of leadership. Directing. Yes.
Themselves and on the way, not so
Right. Yes.
I guess as a leader, you need to encourage your people, the member of your team to work by their hearts, not to force them. You need to encourage them. So not directing or commanding is like forcing.
Right.
The job.
It's also not a two-way professional relationship. In certain aspects, that's going to work, like the military, based on the structure of the organization. But in other business models, organizational models, that is not going to work. You're not going to get a productive workforce or team because people do not feel included. They feel just simply used as a person in a seat or a number in a seat. So leadership is not about memorizing techniques or devising the perfect game plan. It is about really paying attention to people, really believing in them, really caring about them, really involving them. So kind of basically what we've been talking about. Leadership is definitely motivating others. You're inspiring others. You're taking people to greater heights. So that's all. This is all like empowerment, encouragement, and you're working with participants on how and helping them figure out the what and the why. What does that mean? You're working with people on the how and helping them figure out the what and the why. Does anybody? Because I don't know no, I'm just kidding. I did. Anybody tell me what they think that means? Yeah, working with participants on the how. So what's the how, what's the what, and what's the why? Yeah.
What's the best direction to go, and then helping them figure out what you're supposed to actually be doing and then why you're doing that. So at least in a research perspective, those are the two big questions that are kind of more esoteric, and that's part of teaching people how to think, not what to think.
Right.
And I think that's kind of, you're just kind of helping them figure out how to implement these ideas and then teaching them how to figure out what those ideas are.
Absolutely. So you're working consistently with them, right? You're not just saying, okay, do this, and then you're out the door, right? You're asking them to, you say, do a task, no direction, no inclusion, no necessarily leadership involved. You're just asking them to do a job. You're not giving any direction. You're not showing them that you also want to be involved in this process. You're just using them again as a person in a seat behind a computer. They're a number. They're going to produce for you, and that's all you care about. You do not care about them as a person. You don't even care to tell them why they're doing it. You just are directing them, saying, I'm the director, I'm the leader, this is what you're doing, and that's it. This is what I need you to do, and this is what I need to buy. But that is it. That is not being a leader. That is being in the function of a manager. Leadership is more of a conception, is conceptual, and can become a trait, a personal trait. But whereas a manager, a director is more of a part of a job description. This is how I view it. So leadership is also action, listening to the people. So you're having two-way conversations, you're listening, you're offering information on what the task is, what the team's going to be working on. You are also asking for feedback to find out if, well, this is the idea I have, but maybe other people can provide valuable insight, which then makes this initial idea that I have even better. And then you're also getting buy-in, because everyone on the team, everyone in the department, everyone in the organization, however you want to look at it, whatever level you want to look at, feel like they're involved because they're invested, because you have made them a part of the process. You want their opinion. And not only do you want it, but you're free to have this discussion within, let's say, a team. Let's say everybody in this room is a team. Okay, we're a team for, we're making, I don't know, whatever. We'll just make whatever. Well, I can't think of some funny, silly word. I almost said something else. This is being recorded. So we're making something where there's a product we're putting out. So, or there's a program we're developing, which is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. So we get together, we're discussing this program. Everyone has kind of maybe a different concept, idea, component of what should be in this program. So I, as the person that's leading the team, talks to everybody, right? Listens to everybody. We also have meeting, the people attending the meeting, discussions. So you, Samira, come up with an idea, and then someone says, yeah, or the person, me, says, yeah, that's really good. Let me add this to your idea. And then someone else says, oh, I like that, and this is my idea that will join really well with that idea. So as we're coming together, you came in, I came in with an initial concept. This is what we want to do. These are some of my ideas. And then everybody else was able to provide input, maybe launching, springboarding off of something someone else said. And then we are creating kind of something together. And then at the end, we have developed something that is better than the initial concept that one person came in with. And that is because everyone had valued participation in the process, and everyone was listened to. Now, if I did that with each one of you, and every one of you had a piece of let's say a half a day of a day-long program. Each of you contributed something. It could be anything. It could be how registration is handled, who the guest speaker or guest speakers are. It could be anything. But if I give each of you the opportunity to do that, and we do it as a team, and we have developed this together, how does that make you feel about the product that you helped put out? How does that make you feel? Anybody? Yes. You are more than just a person assigned to do a task. You're part of a team and you're valued. And that's the big piece of leadership. So we have the managers versus leaders. We've kind of touched on this. We're not going to do the small groups, but I did want to talk about this piece. And I'm just going to go down the list because I know I'm going to run out of time because I love talking about leadership. Managers focus on things. They do things right. They plan, they organize, they direct, they control, they follow the rules. Of course, those are job functions of a manager. But when you're a leader, when you're a manager of people, but then you act like a leader, you incorporate leadership aspects into how you work with your team. You focus on people. You do the right things. Instead of do things right, you do the right things. You inspire, you influence, you motivate, you build, and you shape entities. Entities meaning the people that are reporting to you or that are on your team. So that's the managers versus leaders. How does empowerment relate to leadership? And we kind of talked about this early on. So a good leader inspires people to have confidence in their leader. A great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves. And this is where I bring up my first ever real job supervisor, person that hired me, my director. When I worked, I was 22 years old, very green, was hired in a job that I had very little experience in the concept, which is program development, which is what I do now as a career, this many years later. I worked for the American Red Cross in Oklahoma, was hired by this gentleman in a youth services department. I had this charge. There were two conceptual programs. You're hired to develop these programs. Great. Okay. So that he could have just done that. He could have just said, okay, I need you to do this. So let me know when you're done. Maybe I'll answer a question if you have a question. But instead, he sat down with me and along with my other colleague who did a totally different job, we worked together. I was the point of contact. I was the manager of those programs, but he incorporated a very group team empowerment aspect. But then the other thing that he did is made me believe in myself because I had no experience in program development, but thanks to him, I realized I had a knack for it, but I also had a good teacher. This was back in the early 90s, when a long time ago, when things, if you do the math, you can figure out how old I am, where concepts like leadership, empowerment, listening, two-way communication in organizations, those concepts didn't exist. That was not a thing. If I were to talk to my father, who was a VP of USAA back then, and were to say, hey, did you ever use terms like empowerment, two-way discussions or communication within organizations? No, everything was top down. I don't care who you are. I just want you to come in, do your job, and leave. And that's how you're going to be evaluated, et cetera, et cetera. But this man, who is very far ahead of his time, the person I reported to was the total opposite of this. And he was only just a couple years older than me. So, I mean, and he became my blueprint for what I wanted to be as a leader because he empowered, he was inclusive, he was everything that I wanted that I knew I wanted to be when I grew up. So be the kind of leader that you would follow. That's, I think if you had out of this presentation, if there was one takeaway, that's it. Because let's be honest, raise your hand if you've had at any job a horrible supervisor. Just one that you're just like, would never work for that person again. Okay, yeah, we've all experienced that. I've had my share over the years and in various, it's all at UTSA. No, I mean, throughout, I mean, I'm older. So it's been a lot of years in different jobs, not just at UTSA, but there have been some. What you end up realizing, and because if you use those experiences, not just with the great supervisors, the great managers, the great leaders, but with the really horrible ones, you end up shaping who you are, and you will learn more from the horrible ones than you will from the good ones, because that will tell you what you will not do to future people that report to you. You really need to pay attention because it'll teach you a lot. And a lot of the time, it's not because of the person. Sometimes it's the person. Sometimes people are just rotten. But a lot of the times it's because those people were not prepared to be a leader of people. They weren't trained properly. They didn't have the skill set. So you can't put all the blame on a single person. Sometimes it's the culture of the organization that doesn't prepare people to step into these roles. Not everyone, and I'm not saying I'm the most amazing leader, whatever, but not everyone had someone that I had at my first ever real job, full-time job to emulate. And I still do. And we're dear friends still. But I still, and even though he's still just a few years older than me, I'm 51 years old. He's 54, 55. And I still, when we talk, I still look at him in a little bit like that little 22-year-old. Like, I'm just like, he's my boss and I look up to him. And even at this age, kind of like a kid with a parent in a sense, even though we're so close in age, but I still hold a lot of reverence towards him. He thinks that's just silly, but I do. So from my personal experience, I came up with what I consider are 4 basically kind of say columns, cornerstones of leadership, the 4 tenets. One of them is integrity. If people don't trust you as a person, they're not going to follow you. So you need to be honest, trustworthy, and reliable. Not just that this is how you're perceived, but this is truly, there are examples people can look at and say, this person, I believe what they're saying, I trust them, and I can count on them. They are ethical. You are ethical. You have principles. And you not only, again, say it in words, you show it. You take concrete examples. You are credible. You inspire. You show commitment, because not only are you talking the talk, you're walking the walk. For example, I'm not just saying this because she's in the room and she's my boss. I have said this to other people. I've worked for a lot of people in the graduate school over the years. And I can tell you that there was maybe 1 in 15 years, and now 2, that actually are boots on the ground, involved, come to the sessions. And they've all had the same title, director or assistant dean, or, someone, that I report to. And Montemeat is only the second one in 15 years. And I've reported to a lot of people, but the direct reports, the people that I've directly reported to, you need to show that level of commitment. For your team to have buy-in and to listen, you need to be involved. And of course, if you're trusted, then you're respected. Transparency. A lot of people, they don't want to see, not everyone needs to see how the sausage is made, but they should have input into the ingredients. So this goes into what we were talking about before. when we were talking about a group making kind of a product or a program together, is that you want everybody involved, but then sometimes there's going to be decisions made behind the scenes because you need to make sure that, like, whatever this program is, in fact, we just kind of had this discussion in a staff meeting this morning. You need to make sure that it makes sense strategically for the organization or the graduate school, et cetera. So yeah, you want everybody to have their input, but the decision at the end of the day, once we have produced everything, it's sent up to someone above us to make sure that this, in fact, works, makes sense. Okay, and you either get the green light, you get the red light, or you get if you can just make these few tweaks and then move forward. And that's normally how, under the dean in the graduate school, currently how the things work in general. But there still is transparency, because at the meeting this morning, she wanted everybody's input. And if someone said, someone came up with a valuable idea, I like that, let's jot that down, make sure we use it, revisit it, et cetera. So and due to that, she fosters a culture of trust, which is true, because everyone truly in the graduate school adores her and trusts her because she's a good leader. She keeps everybody in the loop. She always gives us regular updates at our weekly staff meetings. She is honest, clear, and effective in what she does, highly respected at the university at large, provides environment for honest feedback and respectful discourse all the time. So she is a wonderful example of that, our vice provost indeed. I mean, Madam Mita is too, but I'm talking about the person that Madam Mita reports to, and I think she'd probably agree with that. She's very inclusive or transparent. And then there's inclusive, which I always feel transparency and inclusiveness they're kind of hand in hand. So one of the things that I know is that I've been the head of a lot of organizations within UTSA, outside of UTSA, where it's like volunteer service. So university service, I was the chair of the staff senate, shared governance body. So one of three shared governances, head shared governances at UTSA. So there's staff, there's faculty, and then there's the student government. But you can't lead in a vacuum. You do need to make sure you have that group input is important. It's an all for one mentality for sure. And all this stuff, again, this is stuff that I, of course, made sure was consistent with the concepts, but it's also based on my personal experience. And I totally wholeheartedly agree with all this. It is a two-way communication. You do need to listen to your people. Inclusivity offers shared accountability as well. And you're allowing for buy-in, shared ownership, a shared vision, kind of like everything I was talking about again, as the people making, we're making one thing, right? We're coming together to make one thing. Everyone has their input. That's being an inclusive leader. And then, of course, the respect, which I think this is kind of like the cornerstone of the cornerstone. This is if all of these pieces are cornerstones, this would be the foundational piece, which is respect. Because if you can't start off with respect, if people don't respect you, none of the other ones matter, honestly. You can try to show that you're as inclusive, transparent, that you care about people, that you empower. But if there's something that happened or something, the way you present yourself, where it does not elicit respect because you don't maybe give the respect, none of the other ones matter. You have to have the respect. It is mutual. And I do feel all the other tenets kind of funnel through respect. Respect is going to be kind of a constant throughout all of them. And you gain respect, but you earn, and you equals earning trust for sure. And so these are, because I think this is so important, these are some other pieces. Respect, consistency, you have consistently a strong work ethic, and you're setting the standard for your team. You're not afraid to take risks. But the other piece that's very important, and this is, a lot of people have problems with this. Failure is common. Things don't always go as planned. But you as the person, whether you are the team lead or an individual, you need to take ownership. And it's okay. It's okay to admit a mistake. It's like, you know what? I did it. It took me a long time to get there, to realize that part of being successful is actually making a mistake here and there. The key is, how do you learn from it? You learn from the mistake, you move on. But just remember, as a team leader, as a leader in an organization, the buck stops with you. So if something happens and the team or a team project, like the project we discussed, maybe falls short for whatever reason, you don't blame it on, I'm not, as the team lead, I'm not going to blame it on Murray. I'm not going to blame it on Samira. I'm not going to blame it on any of you. When it comes to who I report to, whoever that is in our fake organization, our imaginary organization, it does stop with me. I take responsibility. I don't use a scapegoat, because what's going to happen when you do that? You are going to lose respect and you're going to lose trust. And then the rest of it, again, doesn't matter. See how that falls? You want to promote, and I don't mean promote, well, of course, promote, like you get a promotion, right? That's always lovely. Promotions are lovely. Pay increases are lovely, all that stuff. But when I say promote high potential employees, it means you allow a spotlight to be shown on them. There are so many people, and I know some personally, professionally, personally, that are colleagues at UTSA, that they're so insecure, and I won't, I can say this because I'm not naming names. They're so insecure. They're wonderful people, but they're so insecure in their role and how they're perceived that they will take the spotlight, no matter if what's your name? Natika? If Natika does some amazing thing and she's part of my team, I take credit for it, because I need that spotlight on me. And I think if I allow the spotlight on her, then they're gonna see that maybe she's more important than I am. That is a level of insecurity that really is unfounded, because if any of you, your name? Ariana is a high performer, and she hit something like out of the park for the organization, and the attention is received by, let's say, the president of the organization. That actually looks very positively on me. I don't need to take credit to still get credit. I should want to let someone else that deserves it take the spotlight, because it wasn't mine to begin with, but it still makes the team look good. It makes me look good. It's the reality. Genuine presence, be authentic, of course, makes sense. And you want to have your employees' backs. Allow them, again, going back, allow them the recognition, allow them to shine. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that. I see it time and time again. And it honestly makes me really sad for not only the people that report to those type of leaders. They're not leaders. That's why I call them managers. They're really not leaders, because there is the potential there, because most of these people that I know that are like that are, like I said, very wonderful people, lots of potential. There's either some type of imposter syndrome that's holding them back and making them take that spotlight away from other people consistently, or they're just not properly trained as someone to lead people, as a truly effective supervisor, which incorporates all the things we've been talking about. Does that make sense to everybody? I know I kind of busted through this, and I usually like to spend a little bit longer, but I also wanted to be conscious of y'all's time. Your leadership philosophy, this is kind of, the main thing I want you to think about. And of course, instead of discussing, this is going to be kind of a takeaway. A leadership philosophy is essentially a belief system that guides your decision making. It consists of your core principles, perspectives, and values. When you define what they are and use them to shape a leadership philosophy statement, your behaviors and decisions will remain consistent. So what I would like you to do, and this is not something you have to necessarily turn in if you want to, or if you want to even meet and discuss, I'm happy to do it. I'm on campus Monday through Wednesday. If you think this is valuable and you want to get together if you want to get together, we can have this discussion. Like I said, this is one of the things I love talking about. Especially I love listening to other people's ideas, experiences, but a leadership philosophy can be defined by personal and professional experiences like mine. My leadership philosophy was due to the bad ones and the standout one, but mostly the bad ones. Be created through the strengths and weaknesses in leadership you have witnessed in others, and also adjust over time due to changing experiences and environments. Oops. So, creating your leadership philosophy, the initial draft, leadership concepts you aspire to. These are the things you want to write down. Leadership ideas you believe in, your vision of what leadership looks like, and keywords and bulleted ideas for all those pieces. And then the final draft, so you're kind of gonna, this is brainstorming in the initial draft. The final draft is conceptualized into a final philosophy belief statement. It does not have to be a dissertation manuscript. It's like you're looking at a paragraph. The main thing is, who do you want to be? What do you want to be for other people? And you put that into words, your own words, though. This is not something you're developing for me or conceptually. This is for you. This is kind of your leadership, philosophy that you will take forward. But going back to the reality is it will adjust over time. It will adjust over time due to your own experiences. I mean, it's kind of like when you have dated someone, each person you've dated, even though it may have ended, you take something from that relationship and you learn from it. If it was a negative, there were negatives, and say, oh, well, I'm not going to, like, that's this. I've learned something about myself and I've learned what I'm not going to do X, Y, Z, right? And you take that into the next one. It's the same thing. You really are learning positive, negative, and that your leadership philosophy, again, should adjust. It may not totally change because you are the person who you are. But this is an ideal that anyone can live up to. I am not a believer that leaders are born. I am a believer that leaders can be formed. And you can do it. You don't need someone else to do it for you. This helps. Like, this kind of maybe helps you formulate focus. But I think anybody can be a leader. You just have to have someone that believes in you, and you have to believe in yourself. That's pretty much it. People are just coming in like right at the very end.
I think it's because the invite stated 1 p.m.
The email said noon.
Yeah, and the invite states 1 for some reason. I was looking at that. I was like, are we at the end of this meeting? Is there any way that you could share?
Yes, there's a couple different recordings of this, but we can share that with everyone that has been in attendance virtually or in person.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that, because I looked at the email and I know it said noon, but I'll make sure. Does anyone? It's kind of we're honestly past time. Does anyone have any comments, questions? Yes. That's why I was talking about, we should have had, thanks to the fire drill, cut out about the time we would have had for like kind of the group discussion, and I would have broken you up. We did not have time for that. But like, that's why I said, if you all are interested, and even the people online, if you want to do, we could even do a virtual meetup. It doesn't have to be in person. I'm happy to do that. Why don't I do this? Since we didn't have time to do it, as we always do, I do there's follow-up email that goes out, just as with the link to the session, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll send that out. If there is, and maybe we can do like a link to a doodle poll.
Idea.
Yeah.
Just have more question about that. If all of you want, John can take maybe the second one, and there it would be like a group discussion.
Yeah. Does that sound good? I know everyone's schedules may change, but again, we try to do these virtual we do them hybrid. So hopefully, and we are looking at, yeah, probably the, spring semester. So we'll see. But yeah, I would like to do it because I do like the topic, and I think it's valuable to talk further about the philosophy, and, and I also am, as obviously, if that hasn't come across, I'm a big believer in group think and group dynamics and what each person can bring. Because the other thing is in discussion, like I said before, you may not have thought of something that would be valuable to your philosophy that someone else might mention. And you're like, oh, I like that. And then again, different people's opinions and viewpoints, perspectives come together to make something really, truly amazing. And I love that. That's my favorite thing when that happens. Anybody else before I just kind of turn you over, since we're a few minutes behind? Okay. Well, thank you so much for attending. Thank you, everybody online. And I do apologize if, the time on one of the pieces was wrong or incorrect. But we will send up a follow-up with the recording, so that you can view whatever you missed. So thank you, everybody.
So if you all want something else, because we have two more program we are designing. So if you have something, we have some ideas like writing, administrative writing, or data science. And maybe this one, John can take another one, communication leadership, like that. So if you guys have any idea which you want to do next